Okay, we're live. We're live. We are going to wait for maybe 15 more seconds if you just joined, just so we make sure everyone joins in and they don't miss the first 15 seconds. So if you just joined us, welcome already. We will kick off in a few seconds' time just to make sure people from all parts of the world are joining us. And if there are technical glitches, we give them some time. If you are already here, by the way, you can use the comment section. We get the comments coming through. Right, I think I'm going to give it 5 more seconds and then we kick off. Okay, good. Welcome everyone. Welcome from whichever part of the world you're joining in today. I am currently sitting in Pune in India, although I'm normally based out of the UK. My name is Navkaran Singh. I am one of the senior culture consultants in global business culture. So global business culture, we help organizations manage the cultural differences and the impact of cultural differences on everyday business. So we work with many different clients across the globe. I am joined here by Arnab Saha. He is a lead for an L&D team in a large tech pharma organization based out of the US. Arnab is physically dialing in from Bangalore in India. And we're having this session because a lot of you have asked us, you're hearing a lot from our side, from the GBC side on our insights, our experiences, our suggestions, recommendations on how do culture impact business, and especially if you're working across different countries, what can you do and what are some of the strategies? But we've been asked, what about the client side? So we thought, okay, well, we'll reach out to some of our clients, and luckily for us, Arnab agreed to have a discussion with us. So we worked with Arnab and his organization for more than a year. We've done multiple cultural integration, cultural awareness programs for Arnab's organization. And we're going to just have a discussion on that. So here from the other side, from the client side, how does culture impact business? How has his experience been working on these cultural programs that we've done with them? And, like I said before, if you have any questions, please ask questions. You can ask us the questions by adding a comment into the LinkedIn Live that is on your screen, and we get the comments through, and I will look at these questions as we go through this discussion. So we only get 30 minutes, so I'm going to dive straight into some of the key questions that I thought all of you would be interested in hearing. So let's ask and start with the big one, which is, Arnab, in your experience, do you feel that cultural differences, national culture differences, can impact business interactions and collaboration in international global teams? What's your experience?
I would say a great yes to it, because when we work in multinational companies, the workforce is spread across different countries, continents, and all of us have our own ethnicity, our own preferences, our own culture, as we say it. So cultural differences, understanding cultural differences, being aware of cultural differences is extremely important. Otherwise, it can definitely impact business interactions. And actually, it helps a lot when we understand culture and cultural differences. When we are more aware, it really helps in collaboration and has a positive impact on business. Just to give you a couple of examples, a couple of headers. We are always in the business of communication, whether we are in L&D, we are in business, we are in supply chain, or in research, or any form like medical affairs. So wherever we are always communicating internally as well as externally with our clients or customers. Now, our clients, customers, or our colleagues comes from different cultures with varying different kind of norms around communication. Just to give you some example, as we have understood, as we have become more culturally aware in all that we have gone through, that there are some cultures who value direct communication. They come straight to the point. On the other hand, there are some other cultures where they will not be so direct. For example, in India, Indians as I can speak for my country and my the place from where we come from, we are a little indirect in approach. We prefer always to have some, I would say, some social talks or small talks before we come to the topic, and that might sometimes upset. Or if the other person is talking very directly to us without that small talk, might upset us. And that's the place where the thing happens. So if we understand this, that yes, if somebody is coming straight to the point, very direct to the point, we must value that. At the same time, the other person from other culture, if he or she understands that, that is really appreciable. It's really appreciated. So when we have that awareness, it helps us minimizing misunderstandings, and we respect the differences because we are more culturally aware. The second thing, in the corporate setup, we do make a lot of decisions, and a lot of stakeholders are engaged when vital decisions or critical decisions are being made. In such cases, we must understand, and I would say respect. There are people, there are cultures, people coming from cultures where they need more information, more context to make a decision, whereas in few cultures we are fine to have the minimal information or the must to know kind of information and make decisions. Some cultures take some people or some geographies, people coming from some cultures might take more time to make decision, whereas few ethnic groups or few cultures are there which can take really fast decisions, and they can manage the changes quite quickly. So understanding these differences, I think it's of immense value. So if somebody is taking a little time to understand the information, taking time to process, we should not label them as not so intelligent kind of thing within the inverted commas. It is just quite natural for him or her, or for that person, to take some time to process the information, because that's how they had been doing what they had been doing for maybe since their childhood. So,
Mm.
and these are few things we must appreciate. Hierarchy is something. Attitudes toward hierarchy. There are a few cultures where hierarchy is being maintained, and people maintain that decorum to respect that hierarchy. Once again, I will give the Indian example, or few Asian countries for that matter. So we respect hierarchy. I would say we respect. We meaning in India, we respect hierarchy. Whereas there are few cultures where it is very open and more egalitarian, meaning like anybody in the team, regardless of their position, they are very free to speak, and people expect them to be speaking. And I've seen this in action. So, working in multinational companies, when we connect with colleagues or clients from other cultures, especially within internal teams, when decisions are made or meetings are being, conducted, um, the western side of the world, uh, to be more specific, UK, US, these geographies, we have clients, we have colleagues, and they expect us to be speaking, us meaning Indians to be speaking. And we feel that if my manager is there, if my boss is there with me, it's he or she who would be speaking.
Yeah.
Whereas that's not the expectation from the other side. The other colleagues of mine sitting in their own cultures, their own ways of working, is what they have seen, that every people is supposed to be speaking safely, transparently, bringing their whole self, their ideas. When that doesn't happen, then misunderstandings happen, and that's once again not knowing how culture plays. So I think
Mm.
all these things are absolutely important for us to understand. Work ethics and practices are another aspect where we should be understanding. There are cultures where even a minute delay or 2 minutes delay is not acceptable, and there are a few cultures where even a 5 minutes delay is fine. So this is also about culture. So it's not that that person is unprofessional because he was 3 minutes delayed in joining the meeting. Or if somebody is starting the meeting early, doesn't mean that you know he's too much driving kind of person. So it's
Mm.
it's about culture. all these things, I felt that with my experience and the trainings that I've received, I think that understanding this cultural differences really helps in minimizing conflict and maximizing or I would say working more productively so that we can bring our best, respect each other, and work collaboratively. To answer your
Right.
question,
Yeah, great. And and great examples that you shared with us.
thank you.
And I'm quite happy that you've remembered a lot of the things that we were discussing during the workshops that we were doing.
Yes,
So good to see that that's still there. And I think there's one key thing you said in all of this conversation is that people are doing this unknowingly, right? So, it's not direct versus indirect. My communication style or your communication style or your team's communication style works, and the communication style in the US, it works, and teams think this is the best way to achieve business objectives. It's not about whether this is right or wrong. It is what works, and culture is about what works in the country. So it's great to see some of those examples. And obviously, Arnab, I'm more interested in because you are based out of India, and you had a large team in India and you work across many different organizations. From your experience, do you think, especially in India, the Indian organizations, are they aware of the impact of culture? Is there enough interest, or are they even aware of that there are solutions to this? What's your experience with that?
interesting question. So, in my experience, I have worked with multinational companies, and in the India market, as we call it. So, any multinational will have a market or a geography in which it operates, and then the larger organization, which is known as the global organization. Now, India happens to be part of the global organization, and there are two situations now. So, one, like the organization that I work currently. So we are, in true sense, a global organization because all the departments, all the colleagues, most of the colleagues, at least, would be working with global colleagues or clients who are uh, based in different geographies. So this is one setup. The other setup, which we find more often in the Indian entity of this these multinational companies, will be like there would be a India team, which is the national team, and then they work amongst themselves within the different geographies within India. That also is culturally diverse. Uh, like India is a very diverse country culturally as well, in linguistics also. Food habits, dressing, everything is unique. But then it's one country we work well because we are aware of that cultural differences within India. So that's the India organization. But within this India organization, there are colleagues, there are teams, specialized teams, especially like um, the IT teams, Center of Excellence teams, the R&D teams. There are different kind of teams. I'm talking from the healthcare perspective. Other industries will have many other teams, maybe. These teams are supposed to be working across geographies, across cultures, across boundaries. So, at least for those teams or those colleagues or those roles, especially who are working internationally, cross culturally, I think there's a need for this cultural awareness. And most of us, we learn by trial and error. We learn on the job by getting feedback or seeking feedback, learning from our mistakes. But I think I've always felt that a structured awareness training really helps, and we cannot ignore the importance of cultural awareness, like especially from coming from the learning and development, which we always reside within the talent development side of the business, being in L&D. And I think everybody who is listening to here, and even you now, would understand that we are a part of the talent uh, management team, if you see over the overarching organization. So, cultural awareness training is extremely important for leadership effectiveness. And regardless of the position, I'm saying even the Indian teams who are working with the international clients, international colleagues, regardless of their hierarchy, even I think the the starting layer of the organization, if they're working with international clients, need to be culturally aware, because it builds cultural agility, which finally leads to one single culture of the company. Like, we talk of culture so much, but finally we need to arrive at one culture, which is a company's culture, right? And that can happen only when we have that understanding how these cultural differences can impact our businesses, our relationships, professional relationships. So I would like to say that whether we are in India, but if we are working with international clients or colleagues, there is a huge importance and need of the hour would be to invest in cultural awareness training, I would
Yeah,
say.
and the reason why I'm asking this is very interesting, Arnab, and the reason why I'm asking is, especially in India, um, I think majority of the clients who come to us, they're through the trial and error, right? So I think there's this expectation, there's a perception that my team is very professional, and the processes, the practices, the behaviors we have here should work in all of the other parts of the world. And I think a lot of the teams will go with that attitude. They will try, and then they learn from the mistakes that I shouldn't have said that, or I needed to be more direct in the meeting, or I needed to be more part of the decision making more. And this causes, I think, frustration at least on those teams, but it can also cause bigger issues. So 75% of our clients who come to us are people who've gone through this trial and error, and they realize it's just not enough, right? You learn a few things, but you don't learn everything. And only 25%, I would say, who come to us thinking, yeah, actually, I should invest in this because this actually can make or break a few situations or even the overall business. So it's very interesting to hear your experience with that. Um, I'm sure our listeners are also intrigued and wanted to understand kind of the program we did. We did multiple programs with Arnab's organization, starting with a management level workshop to then we did a multiple workshops across involving many different countries, not only US, UK, and India, but also uh, people from other parts of the world. And then we did an e-learning, which is now kind of being rolled out across organization, across everyone. Um, I know. I just wanted to quickly ask you, what has been your experience? I know that you were part of this program from day one. What did you like? What did you not like? Can you just quickly share your
Surely,
experience?
surely, why not? Of course. Global Business Culture perhaps was the first company that I have seen who is a specialist in this culture trainings. Being in L&D since 2006, I have seen many consultants pitching in, and we did some culture trainings. It's not that I'm not talking of the current organization that I work for, but in the previous organizations, there had been efforts made for this building this cross-cultural awareness through trainings, internal, external. But I must say that my experience with the global business culture, especially when you stepped in last year, I think third quarter is when I was attending one of the leadership workshops which you had been doing, and all of us in the leadership team we found a lot of value. I would say immense value, and it's always starts from the top. I would say, and the way uh, global business culture and you did it. It was a virtual session, but we never felt that we are in a virtual session. It was so engaging, and it was so. There were tasks being given. Breakout rooms were so smooth and nicely arranged. All of us spoke, and we never thought that the time will fly and we will be brought back into the main room. Even our discussions were still happening. But then, whatever happened, we learned a lot, and from there it started. And the kind of journey I experienced being in this organization with the partnership that we are experiencing with GBC Global Business Culture, you and your colleagues have made sure that we understand that there is an importance given to this cultural awareness, and our company gives a lot of importance because that's how our company is. So if we need to have one company culture, which is eventually the place where we will land, we need to have a culture specialist coming in and making us aware. That can be through trainings, that can be through virtual trainings, e-learnings. And the best part is like global business culture brings in a lot of experience from other countries, other clients, and they a kind of case-based approach, I would say, intermittently that you have done, and we all liked it. So we started from the leadership level, went down, and then till the first role of the organization was also being covered. That's my experience, and not just that. There had been other departments who were not trained that time. They started asking, which means people are getting a lot of value out of the work that GBC had been doing with us. So that's
Mm.
that by itself is a testimonial to the work, and I would say, like, connecting business to culture or cultural norms. I would say global business culture does it very nicely. It's very professionally, and the e-learning trainings very recently that we have introduced. It's like, one e-learning training which is common for all that we are taking. Once again, thanks to global business culture, and then country specific. There are 10 country specific trainings that are live right now, and we send communications. So that way, I must say the experience had been phenomenal. It was very good. Whether it was the face to face in Bangalore or virtually, I would say it was very nice.
Good. And obviously, as a supplier, as a kind of consulting firm, this is what we want to hear. And and to be honest, this is what we take pride in, right? In GBC, we know the topic of culture is of interest to many people, but we don't look at culture as just awareness, because I think people know different countries have different expectations, there's different rituals and different norms. But so what, right? We believe it has to connect to the business results. It's not just about communication. What is the eventual impact on the project or the products you're developing or the software you need to deliver, or there's a deadline towards the client and what the client expectations are. We believe that's what your organization's in there. That's they have business objectives. So we believe, and that's also our name, global business culture. I think we're thinking about how does culture impact business. So it's good to see that the programs we're putting together, the customized case studies we're doing, whether in virtual, whether we do it in person, that is eventually impacting business. Obviously, we love to do a lot more in person if I can be in Bangalore, but it's the new norm. We used to it since COVID. Before COVID, we used to do
Right.
everything live, and now it's the new norm where we can't get. I think it's on the client side, they can't get the team together in one place. So it's opportunities, but also limiting us to get to see our clients face to face. Okay, great. We still have a few more minutes. Arnab, any last kind of thoughts on if there are other L&D teams, or the other HR teams listening to this? Do you have any recommendations, any learnings from your experience which you think they should hear? Arnab, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, I'm just asking. Like, we have a few more minutes, so I was just thinking,
Oh, you were
is there any?
asking. I thought it was a question for the audience. I'm sorry.
No, I was
so,
just asking you any additional last
okay.
thoughts from
Yeah.
your
So,
experience too. You already shared quite a lot, but if there's anything additional before I go
yes.
into the
So,
point.
of course. So, I have a couple of things for, like, in any training. Um, Sustenance of the learnings are very important. Sustenance and application. So I remember and then I applied. So these two things are very important. And I would say that these e-learnings are a good way of reinforcing what we have learned. So thanks to GBC for that. And then the kind of discussion forums, sometimes I think once we had it, which was good, like where we discussed about what we have learned, what we can do differently, success stories, or if we have failed, why so. Failures are also experiences to learn, right? So it's also good to have. And formal, informal discussions in cafeteria or on the, at the desk, I would say, is also good. That's how we are taking it. And I would also say one thing, that let's start from the top. Like, it's so there is there might be a statement that might lead to some conflict, because my L&D colleagues, HR colleagues would uh, agree, may not agree. Push versus pull. So learning is always a pull, so it's not a push. But in such cases, in culture trainings, cultural awareness trainings, it is so critical. It is strategic, I would say, because strategies might fail, business strategies might fail, talent strategies might fail if people are not culturally aware. So it has to start from the top, meaning like the leadership team has to be made aware first, and when they're aware, they will appreciate for sure, and they would like to cascade it down to their own teams. And I have seen managers who have reached out and asked, like, hey, I'm based out of UK, I'm based out of US, this is how it works in Germany, what's the Indian way? So which means that senior leaders are also interested in knowing the Indian way. I can say the Indian way because they asked me about India. So
Yeah.
similarly, I'm sure they might be asking others for other cultures where people are working for them or their teams. So this is amazing. So when the leadership team are made aware, they know the importance and how it can really impact, like building a high performing team, I would say. So
Mm.
that's what I would like to say,
And
just to
that's, I think
summarize.
that's also our experience, Arnab. It's good to hear that you have similar experience, because it's not only that they appreciate how much this can actually impact business, but we also see is that how much then if they do adapt, if they do take actions, how much that actually impacts the rest of the organization. So if we decide on a senior level what makes a good communication, or what makes a good engineer in our team, or how do we run meetings, how we decide things, if that is agreed on the senior level, this goes back to what you were saying earlier, then you already start building this company culture piece, which is, yes, we are different in India, we're different in the US, we're different in the UK, but what binds us together is how do we work within this organization, within this company. So once we learn about the differences, then we can have a discussion about what are the things we want to build in common. And I think this is where leadership team is probably a prerequisite, I would say. I think it cannot work if the leadership team doesn't agree with this. And this is the approach that we try to take. Obviously, it doesn't work with all the organizations, but we were glad that your organization took that initiative to say, let's start from the top, let's build this from the top. And I think we can see the impact it's having. Okay, we have a couple of minutes, so let me see if there are any questions in the comment. Right, so there's one question which is, I think we covered it a little bit, but I don't know if you can think of more. What specific benefits did your company, Arnav, see from running the cultural awareness training programs? Are there anything additional? Can you see any things changing already in the organization, people's behavior?
I would say yes. I can give an Indian example. I do not know if this person is asking this question, like if this person is from India. But then in Indian culture, we always respect hierarchies, which I mentioned in my first response. And people expect if their bosses are there, bosses will take decisions, and the communication will be, they would be the spokesperson, to be very honest. But that's not how it works. That is not how it works. So
Mm,
the greatest benefit that we have realized, and it is not in one team, I would say, at least in my experience, at least three to four teams I know where this came up. And just this fact that, okay, I may be hierarchical in my approach within my Indian culture. That's how I have been brought up. But then the other colleagues from maybe from Germany or from UK or from US especially, they are expecting me to be speaking because it is my job, it's my role. So they're expecting me to participate and answer those queries. I have the knowledge. My boss may be having the knowledge, but it is me who is having, because I'm the process owner, for example. So if it is a process related question, or if it is a subject matter expertise related question, I'm the SME, and they're expecting the SME to be speaking up. But if the SME in India is feeling that, okay, Navkaran is my boss, let Navkaran speak, that doesn't happen, and they're
mm,
disappointed. And that usually used to come up as a feedback, critical feedback. But when people were being told, they were made aware, and they were feeling safe to speak up, and they were really encouraged to speak up in such meetings, and they felt that yes, this is not happening any further. So confusions came down, misunderstandings came down, mislabeling of people came down. It is not about the people or their expertise, skills, or knowledge. It's just the culture. I would say
And
that
I'm
this is one
hoping that, yeah, and I'm hoping
distinct
this
advantage I've seen.
less, yeah, and less misunderstandings, less frustration also means potentially less mistakes. Also probably means that because you can have a discussion in the room, there's less time need to discuss the problem at hand. You're probably also saving time. You're not missing deadlines and so on. I'm just looking at the time because I know our listeners, and I know Arnab, you're also busy, and it's 8 o'clock in India, by the way, who's listening in. So I know there are a couple of other questions in the comments. We will try to see if we can answer those questions directly in the comments. But I think one of the questions, already been answered. So I would say we can wrap this up. So thank you very much, Arnab, for your time. Obviously,
My pleasure.
great insight, great information, and I'm really hoping that we will continue working with you even beyond what we've already done. Um, but also to our listeners, thank you for dialing in from whichever part of the world you're dialing in, and have a rest. Uh, a great day wherever you are. And we hope to see you in the next LinkedIn Live, which will be sometime in January. Keep an eye on the Global Business Culture LinkedIn page. And if you have any suggestions for any topics you would like us to cover in one of the next sessions, we are all ears. We'd love to hear from you. Having said that, thank you very much for joining in, and goodbye for now.
Thank you.